Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dailey Blend show with me, Reed Dailey. This is the weekly rundown for the week of February 6th, 2024. And if you are new around here, this is where I feature things going on across Dailey Blend, special projects I'm involved with, things that are going on in sort of business, tech, and culture, and what I'll call life hacking tools, templates, playbooks. Before I jump into the show, I want to remind you that we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you are a big social person, check us out on Instagram and X at Dailey Blend. And with all that out of the way, let's jump into the show. So let's start off with talking about what's going on across Dailey Blend. So we've taken a couple weeks off of doing Music Monday features, but we are back with Dr. Zilter, and I think I'm saying that person's name correctly, or Instagram handle. He's got a mix series called Coffee Room. It's not, I wouldn't call it down tempo. I wouldn't call it jazz or anything. It's something a little more upbeat, and I really enjoyed it. It was like that perfect sort of mid-morning music mix DJ series that just, took me from sort of coffee to, lunchtime, and then was great again, in that sort of 2:30, 3 o'clock slump where I need to get to 4 or 5 o'clock and knock through work. So I highly recommend you checking out the Coffee Room mix from him. And with all these mentioned topics, everything's linked. So if you just go to daileyblend.com and find the weekly rundown, you can get all the links. I put them in the notes. In terms of Throwback Thursdays, I've been listening to a lot of jazz lately, but I'm I wouldn't say getting tired of it. I'm just looking for maybe an alternative to the jazz. So it's kind of like start at 4 or 5 in the morning with jazz and then sort of pick up before you get to the Coffee Room sessions at 11. And I've always loved the In Search of Sunrise series from Tiesto. It was somewhere between, trance for me, and I don't want to call it like, progressive house, but, it was basically trance meets deep house is probably a good way to describe that. I listened to all the mixes for I think he did 1 through 7. Some had 1 disc, others had 2 discs, and yes, they came out when they're actual discs. But going to be featuring, his In Search of Sunrise series for the next few weeks. And if you haven't checked it out, have a listen. I really enjoyed those. In terms of Dailey Blend, we've been talking about 150. It's coming, trust me. I think I've got even someone to do some mastering for it. I've been going back and forth on emails with them about possibly mastering it. I've actually never had a mix mastered, so it'd be kind of cool to hear the difference. But I do have a new Sunday session. So I did a Sunday session on February 4th, and that is now live. You can get that on Dailey Blend. You can also get that on Apple Podcast and SoundCloud. You cannot get it on Spotify unless you're like, every track's cleared. It's pretty hard to get a DJ mix on there, but SoundCloud's great, and we'll put them over on YouTube later this weekend. That mix was actually done by using DJ Studio, which is a new music management automation solution I'm exploring. I wrote my first tech review actually for Dailey Blend. I've done those for other channels and other companies before, but never actually for Dailey Blend. So check that out. I did a overview of that tech, just in terms of like an introduction and overview of features, but I'm going to do a ton more deep dives on it because there's a lot to unpack there. In terms of Negronies with Greg and I were both sick during the holidays and busy kind of kicking off the years. So we are going to get back to podcasting next week. So be on the lookout for a fresh Negronies with Greg podcast. And we've been just emailing with a ton of founders who are doing RTD drinks, have their own spirits. So I think we've got a nice list of folks that we're looking to get on the Drink with Greg podcast. Pretty excited about that. In terms of the drinks of the week, what I want to do is feature for the next few weeks, while it's still pretty cold here in Chicago, some of the more wintry oriented cocktails from the Whistler. If you've never been to Chicago or haven't ever listened to this podcast, you would not know about the Whistler. It is a fantastic bar, music venue, record label, art installation, let's call it cultural mecca, if you will. I went there maybe in year one and have been going back with some level of regularity. My good buddy, DJ Greg Feelgood, DJs there once a month on Saturdays. And I purchased their drink book. It's like 50 or 60 pages of, I think, 35 recipes. I might have that number wrong, but 25 cocktails. There we go. Just looking forward to going through that. So head over to Drink with Greg and you'll be able to kind of keep track of all of the drinks we do with the Whistler cookbook. And what I've done in terms of Dailey Blend is I've linked that cookbook. I think it was it's not a cookbook, it's a recipe book. I think it was either $12 or $14, but it's pretty slick. And it makes you feel like connected to a community. It's less, quite frankly, corporate feeling. And it feels like more like something, someone that you really cared about made a book and gave it to you. So there's something really great about that. And I'll be kind of providing some color commentary on the drinks, both on this show, and then Greg and I are going to be talking about it on Drink with Greg. In terms of tools and toolkits, I already mentioned that I'm starting to do more tech focused reviews. And what I'm going to try to do is not just talk about what the tech is, but talk about my workflow. And so I'm going to do a combination of written words, audio, and then video through YouTube of doing sort of screen shares and walking through kind of my workflow, because I think that's always the secret sauce when you're talking to someone. It's not what technology do you use or what apps or what workflow. It's like, how do you do it? Like, what is your specific workflow within the app, within the service, within multiple apps, etc. The other thing that I want to drill into is the Life Optimizing Playbook, and that's a working title. And I really want to use this platform as a way to showcase kind of how I do life hacking, planning. And the first piece or chapter of that is the end of day checklist. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about a social media planner, and I really like that if it's like keep it simple and you have one sort of product or service or like company you're promoting. But if you're doing a lot of different things, personal, professional, multiple channels, you really need something more deep dive. So I've got the end of the day checklist, and that's good for like a week. And I've been using that and I've really been liking it. It's not rocket science. It's keep it simple. And it works great, but I want to revisit the social media one. And I'm kind of thinking there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 tiers. There's going to be one that's pretty basic, we'll call it fundamental or core, and then one that's kind of like more advanced, and then there's one that's like elite. They're all going to be all free for download, looking for feedback, etc. In terms of Friday Top 5, we moved that to the newsletter. So don't forget to subscribe to that. You can obviously check out some of the archives there. Last week, we featured a ton of things about getting ready for the Super Bowl. So if you missed that, let me know, DM me, and I can kind of send that to you as a one-off. And don't forget to subscribe so you get all those future goodness in your inbox. That wraps it up for the weekly rundown. Looking forward to traveling to Boston tomorrow, and looking forward to the Super Bowl this weekend, Winter Carnival here in Lake Forest. So it'll be a lot of fun. And if you are living in Chicago or Illinois and you've got a small business, you're an entrepreneur, you're really looking to showcase your brand, give me a call, shoot me a DM, send me an email, Reed at Dailey Blend or info at Dailey Blend. They'll both come my way. And let's talk. I'd love to showcase individuals, small businesses doing something really fantastic and different in my community. And with that said, stay warm out there and enjoy your Negroni. I know I'm about to. Thanks for tuning in.